All right, we've made it to 1300. I'm going to get started here. Welcome everybody who's already joined us. And if anybody can't hear me, please hit the raise your hand button or make a note in the chat that you can see my mouth moving, but you actually can't hear anything from me. We'll see what we can do about that. So far, so good. Okay. So yes, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Stephen Mills. I'm the program manager for the Advanced Care Paramedic program here at JIBC. And I also have with me in the background, I have Carol Mulligan, who is our program planner for ACP and also the entire division. One of a few program planners. She doesn't have all of that burden on her shoulders. Carol's going to help me with answering questions that I may not be able to answer off the top of my head. So she's going to be our backup. You'll notice that you don't have access to your microphones. And great, thank you, Daniel. I'm glad you can hear me now. You don't have access to microphones. What I'd like to do is, if you have questions as we move through the presentation and afterwards, just put them in the chat, and Carol will help me monitor those questions to make sure that we answer everything that you post. I have a short couple of PowerPoint slides that I'm going to run through, but the purpose of this information session is actually to answer as many questions as we can that you may have about the program. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump in and get going on the presentation so that I can make sure that we get all the information to you that we need, and then have plenty of time to answer questions. All right, so welcome to the Advanced Care Paramedic program. We actually are still open for applications for New Westminster and Kelowna for this coming September. And so if you're looking at that, this information will be helpful for you. If you're just looking ahead and thinking, yeah, am I going to do this course? Maybe not. This will also be really helpful for you. So welcome. Let's see, here we go. All right. Now, I just want you to know that who are we looking for in this particular ACP program at JIBC. Basically, what we're looking for are paramedic leaders. We really want people who are excellent leaders at the scene in their communities, who are people who actually can think critically. They have a reflective practice as part of what they currently do in their practice as PCPs, ideally, and they can solve problems. Have really good communication with not only people at the scene, but build great relationships with people in other disciplines, and provide the best possible care for patients out there, because that's our #1 priority, is the highest possible standard of patient care. So that's what we're looking for, and if you want to be that kind of leader, that's who we want in the program. So I'm excited about this. Let's see. Requirements. So these are the requirements for the program. The first part, phase 1, it says up there, these are the institutional-wide requirements, the grade 12 graduation and the English 12 and equivalent. So those are the requirements for the institution, and then program-specific requirements are the section called phase 2, and that's PCP certification with a minimum of 1 year experience, and ID insertion license endorsement. Also, BLS for healthcare provider, that's a CPRC ticket, and the 4 academic prerequisite courses. And those are actually listed on our website under the ACP program. So why? Why come to the ACP program? What is it that you want out of the program? What's the exciting and meaningful part of the program that you're really keen about? For us, the purpose of ACPs and the ACP program is to really make a positive difference in the world, to have a sense of purpose, and you want to be ACPs want to actually do what they do because what they do matters, right? And you belong. You as an applicant, you as a student belong. And we're going to work with you so that you can become the best ACP you can be. So do it for that, to become the best for the patient, for their family and friends, for your community, and for yourself. Become part of a piece of healthcare that's really exciting and interesting and challenging. So when and where, as I said, Kelowna, the Okanagan campus, and New Westminster, and that's starting in September 2017. And what do you need? Well, this is the tough part, right? First off, you really need to be able to have fun, and I'm serious about that. There's a really positive connection between your ability to have fun and pleasure and enjoyment in learning. So fun is important. You need some grit. Definitely need grit and determination. It is a difficult course, and it's a course that takes some time and some endurance. You need really good study habits. And if you feel like you don't have great study habits, we have support here at JIBC to help you with that. You need a positive outlook, and because negativity doesn't get us anywhere, but a positive outlook is really a great facet for learning. And that's related to a growth mindset. And if any of you are familiar with the work of Carol Dweck around growth mindset versus fixed mindset, growth mindset is really about an excitement about learning and understanding that you can learn and change, and that everything that you do really is learning. You also need a really good support network. As I said, this is a challenging course, and so make sure that you have a good support network. People you can talk to, people who can support you, people who understand the commitment you're going to make, because being in school is challenging, and sometimes expectations of friends and family don't really balance with the commitment to school. So develop that really good support network and really educate your family and friends about the commitment you're making. Also, you really need a good financial plan. There's funding available for the program, and it's great funding through the EMS Foundation, but definitely you need a plan. You need to figure out how you're gonna eat, how you're gonna pay your rent, your mortgage, all of those things, so that when you're in school, you can focus on your school and the things that are important to you to keep you well and healthy. Humility is good. Humility is really an important part of being a leader. Some really great research on the key components of leadership puts humility up there at the #1 position. And also you need confidence. And by confidence, I actually mean that sense of being centered, of knowing your skills, but also knowing your limitations and being open and honest about your limitations and what you don't know. That's confidence. So definitely you need that, and bring that with you and foster that and learn more about that through the program. Of course, there's textbooks, and we'll send out a list for that, and a uniform. Nobody shows up naked. You got to wear a uniform. And you'll also need an iPad tablet, like an Apple iPad tablet, and that's to support your learning through the competency tracking system that we use. And also we're using iPads in the classroom for simulation practice and for doing just-in-time research during workshops in the classroom. So that's become mandatory in the program with this term. The other thing you need is the ability and means to travel for practice education placements. And these are the locations that we've been sending ACP students to. The reason for this is that, as you probably are aware, we have some challenges currently with BCEHS and ACP preceptor capacity that we're working on with BC Ambulance to actually improve over the next little while. And so sometimes it requires our students to go out of the area where they're at school. So I just wanted you to be aware of that as part of your thinking and planning process before you come into the program. So how much does this cost? Let's see. It's about $15,000 in total plus learner services fee, and you actually pay for the program not all in one lump sum, but by term. And do be aware, as you see at the bottom of this slide, that tuition will increase by 2%. That's the normal government rate for post-secondary institutions. Tuition is increased by 2% every April. So those are the fees that actually are associated with the program, but don't forget that 2% increase. This is where you start working on your math skills for all your drug calculations. All right. Let's see, financial assistance, talking about tuition. So student ABC is a great resource. And there's also, as I mentioned, the EMA Education Fund Award. And definitely apply for that funding. You need to, don't think, I won't get it. Apply for it. In the past, the majority of our students have received it. And so definitely apply. And there's also other general bursary, like the JIBC General Student Bursary. But also there are a number of scholarships and bursaries and things available through our financial aid part of our registration and student services. And so I've put some information here about who to contact. So talk to our student services, a financial aid person, and currently that student, I can talk. That currently is Scott Ostertag, who has been a great resource to our students in regards to financial assistance. All right, couple of things. What's new in the program? As you probably may be aware, we're under new management. I am co-sharing the management with Greg Keenan, who's the manager for curriculum and accreditation here in the Health Sciences Division. And so we've made some changes in the program since July 2016 that we think have been really great benefit. And you may have recently seen a video on Facebook that I produced summarizing some of these changes. So some of them are here. One of the big things is we moved away from lectures to experiential active learning. And the idea behind this is lecturing isn't actually a great way to really integrate information. It's a good model for information that you aren't familiar with, but if you've done your readings and you come to class prepared, then what you really need to do is integrate that learning. And so how we do that is through active learning. We use a lot of case studies, role plays, group work. So I believe in the research that's based on social learning theory and social constructivist theory around learning, so that it's so important to work together as students and have faculty facilitate that learning, because you're going to learn a lot from each other and your own experiences that you bring to the classroom. So that's all part of that experiential learning model. Working with faculty to ensure a positive, safe learning environment, and certainly in the current cohort, we've been finding great improvements in that. The next thing that we've changed is we've decreased student workload so students can come to class not only prepared, but feeling prepared. And the faculty have really noticed a difference in this. Students are coming to class able to challenge faculty with great questions, things that they've been thinking about or talking about outside of the classroom. And we've seen a real jump in student engagement and their ability to actually really integrate that information and problem solve better. So how we've done this is we dropped 7 assignments. We dropped 2/3 of the online discussions in term 1, and we've leveled all papers to a third-year undergraduate level and shortened them. Some of the papers were at a little higher level than they should have been, and so we found that in the current term, this is making it much easier for students to actually focus on what they need to focus on in the program. We've also provided much more focused readings, so that as opposed to saying read this chapter, we're really giving specific page numbers and areas. So we've cut down on extraneous reading by students. We've also started using a full-time lead instructor model at the New West campus that actually supports the regional leads and the regional campus faculty. And we're finding that that's giving us better consistency and also a smoother approach to the classroom. All right, let's see, what's next? Well, how this works is, first thing you do is apply to the program. And you do that by checking out our website and following the instructions on the website. And they're quite clear. If you have any issues with or concerns about what you see there or questions, then you can contact our program at acp@jibc.ca for any questions that you have about the application process. Once you've been through the application process and your application is complete, we go through a selection process. And this involves, and Carol, you might need to help me with this, this involves an online exam.
Yep.
This involves an online PCP level exam to make sure that you're up to speed on all the PCP information that you need to have. And then it also involves an interview. And we have in fact changed the interview this time round, or the last cohort that we took in. And we're focusing interview questions less on clinical expertise and more on things like communication, leadership, how you interact with others in terms of interpersonal relationships, and focusing on the things that often people call the soft skills, but what are in fact at the heart of what makes a good and great ACP. You can be the greatest clinician in the world, but if you can't lead the people at the scene, and you can't develop great relationships with the nursing staff, the docs, the fire department, police, the family, everybody else who's involved in that, and your coworkers, you won't be a good ACP. Because that's really what it's about. It's about that connection. So after the selection process and you get into the program, it's 20 months of transformative experiential learning. And I think you're going to enjoy it. And then after the program, licensure. And so some of you are probably familiar now that licensure has changed and that it's focused specifically on a written exam that's set up by Copper. And so that may have changed since the last time you were through licensing. And then, of course, employment. With BCHS, they're using a current mentorship model. And so after you graduate from this program, then you'll move into the mentorship program that's required by BC Ambulance. And certainly at this time, BC Ambulance is putting a lot of energy into the mentorship program to actually move current graduates who have not obtained employment with BCHS as ACPs to get them through the mentorship program and get them employed as ACPs. So they put a lot of emphasis on that right now. And so that brings me to employment opportunities. And the key about employment opportunities is that we know that some recent graduates from the last two cohorts haven't ended up with jobs right away, as they had in the past. However, discussions that we've been having with BC Ambulance recently with key personnel in medical programs is that they really have a strong, robust plan for ACP moving forward, and they're going to need ACPs. And this came out of a specific conversation where we were trying to determine whether we should move ahead with the kinds of numbers that we're taking. And the response was yes. In the future, they're looking at actually expanding the number of ACPs significantly in the province. So that's what we're holding on to, and I think it's an exciting time to be a paramedic because there are a lot of changes, and you'll see changes coming up in the next couple of years around the new Canadian profile for paramedics as well. Also, you can look at work in other provinces, because once you're licensed in BC, your license is good to carry across other provinces to work. And also there's work in industry. And despite the recent decline in the oil and gas industry, my understanding is that there have been some improvements and some work is happening up there. Let's see, where are we now? That's it. Okay, that's all I've got. Questions? Does anybody have any questions? So feel free to just chat or type your questions into the chat, and I'll shut up now so that we can focus on any questions that you might have. No questions. Just remember your microphones aren't on. Or is this chat not working? Okay, scrolling down. No, oh, good, somebody's typing. Okay. So Daniel, oh, there we go. Did you see Daniel's question? Okay. All right, we see that Adam's typing. And Daniel, if you were typing a question, it didn't appear. So if you wouldn't mind retyping that, that would be great. Okay. Adam, okay. What amount of time can we expect for clinical and on-car hour shifts? Good question. So for ambulance, term 1, there are 4 blocks. Term 2, 6 blocks. Term 3, 8 blocks. And I've now forgotten the clinical shifts. That's what it is. It's 7 each term in terms of hospital shifts. And the clinical shifts vary in the term depending on what the specialties are that you're studying in that term. Let's see. Are more shifts available if we have trouble in certain areas? I guess that it depends. Of course, depends what you mean by trouble. And also, what we do is we certainly, I guess it depends on what you mean by trouble. If students are yeah, let me just stop there. So I'm not sure what you mean. Can you clarify, Adam? Let's see, I know some students have needed some more time on car, maybe only a block or 2. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yes, good question. Definitely what we do is, under the current program, for block 1, or term 1, I'm sorry, the students will actually probably only do the current number of shifts. Where we're looking at extra shifts is often during the term 3 component, where they might be, it might be challenging, they might need more time, and we deal with that on a student-by-student basis. Part of an answer to this is we've changed around where the exams occur in the terms. So in term 1, the exams are still before practice education. So your practical exam is before practice education. And that's to ensure that you're safe to go out on your ambulance and hospital placements. Terms 2 and terms 3, we've moved to the end to after practice education, because we're working with the preceptors to move to a more coaching model than an evaluative model. We want you to go out, practice, because it's practice education. So you're going to go out, practice, learn, be coached, get feedback, improve. And if students are marginal or struggling, then we meet with those students based on information from the preceptors, from our new practice education liaisons, and from the student themselves. And then we work out an education plan, and that may very well involve more time on ambulance or in the hospital. I hope that answers your question. Other questions? It was a very, very short PowerPoint presentation. I can't imagine that I've actually answered all the questions all of you have. Is there time to work at all? Good question. It's not something that we recommend. I know that students do it, and I know that some of them do it much to their detriment. Some of them do it and do okay. So that's a really, it depends. It gets more and more difficult the further you go into the program because there's less time. You know, you have more ambulance ambulance placement requirements in the same number, roughly the same number of weeks. And so it gets more concentrated. Second is we are in fact still challenged by capacity issues with ACP preceptors. And so we try to make use of every single shift possible that we can so that students get done on time and get the kind of learning they need. So that helps us for you to be as available as possible. What our motto is that ultimately practice education is trumps work. And so if you want to be in the program and complete the program, then you do need to be available to actually complete the number of shifts required and to meet the level of expectations that are required by the program. So that really is, my answer is it depends. The recommendation is to save enough money so that you don't have to work, or live more cheaply, come up with other plans, share childcare, kill your television so that you don't have to pay for cable, those sorts of things. Besides, watching television doesn't necessarily give you the best experience of learning. So that's just my opinion. I hope that helps, Adam. Any other questions? I hear the Jeopardy music going. Well, oh, Henry's typing, so let's see what we've got here. Getting a question is kind of like getting a prize. I like this. Besides completing all the prerequisite courses, what are some things that previous students have done to be successful in the course? Wow, that's an excellent question. What I've heard from the faculty is that one of the biggest things that students do is they, a couple of things. They organize their lives well. As I discussed earlier in the presentation, they really organize their lives. They get themselves in a place where they're feeling financially able to do the program, where they've got good support network, and really feel ready to be in the program in that way. So that's part of it. They also take advantage of student support services and really make sure that their study skills, that they're studying appropriately for the way they learn, because that's really important. What we've seen is in the program, students who in the past learned well by memorizing or just following the rules tend not to be as successful, because this is a program and a profession where you have to integrate your learning. And so it sometimes takes a different approach to doing your homework. So getting support for that. The third thing that that is really important is to actually begin a self-reflective practice. Okay, and what I mean about this is the students who come into the program reflecting on their PCP practice in terms of what can I learn, what do I learn from every call I do, from every shift I do, what do I learn from every patient, right? Why do I want to be in this program? Why does this matter to me? What kind of a difference am I trying to make? So engaging in those self-reflective activities, and by writing them out, journaling, however you want to do that, is really important, because so much of what makes a great practitioner and a great leader is their ability to know themselves, to actually be able to pick apart what it is they do and learn from it, and to learn from feedback, even when the feedback isn't positive, to actually learn what's useful in that feedback for me. How can I grow? How can I change? How can I become what I want to be? And so I think that reflective practice is really key. And we hear that with students who they sort of get it when they actually do, in fact, go through the first term, and then I noticed in the recent course over Christmas they worked, and so then they were trying to figure out, okay, if I were an ACP, what would I be doing here, even though I'm working as a PCP? And so developing that practice where you're trying to figure out why you do what you do, what the results are on this patient based on your treatment, what that is, and why that worked. What are your interactions like with family? How you could improve that, right? Are there people around you that you could find as a mentor, right? Find an ACP mentor near you. That has also been a big key for some students that I've talked to. So those are just some of the suggestions. And the final one is, in the program, group study together, practice together, and because that is key to the success in the program. All right, that was pretty long-winded, wasn't it? Any other questions? Are the syllabi available online to get ahead on the assigned readings? Not currently. But one of the reasons we haven't done that is because of it seems like annually a number of the publishers put out updates, and so then we're changing the readings themselves. But that could be something I hadn't thought about, but we could actually potentially post something on Facebook that would say, here's some key books that we're using currently, and here's some key areas to read. One of them is, of course, the ECG textbook that we use. So I'll just make a note here about doing that, Henry, and seeing if we can get some of that information out. I'm doing it old school. I'm writing it on a Post-it. Any other questions? We're at 1:35, so we have plenty of time, but if there are no questions, I know that your time is valuable. And so yeah, I'm happy to answer questions, but I want to make sure that I respect your time. All right. What I suggest is if you do have other questions, please just email. And the email address is very simple to remember. It's acp@jibc.ca. acp@jibc.ca. And we'll be happy to answer your questions. There are a group of people who monitor that inbox, and so we'll get back to you as soon as we can and answer your questions for you. Well, if that's it for everybody, I want to really thank you for taking the time. Oh, Adam's typing. Oh, you're welcome, Adam, for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing your questions in the future and look forward to seeing you in the program. All right. Thank you, everybody.